How would you compare Shedeur and Cam Ward's game?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into comparing the guys. We've done a lot of work on those two. I know a lot of people are talking about those two, but there's other quarterbacks throughout the draft, and excited to get around those guys as well. Yeah, I haven't been around Cam. Again, that's something that we'll have to get around, but have seen him play a couple times. I was at the Cal game, and they dug themselves a little bit of hole. Some of it was they were in a hole because of him, but he also was able to get him out of it. And they won the game because of him. So, those are traits that you look for. The gotta have it moments, whether it's Virginia Tech, that Cal game, to bring a team back. And when everybody in the building knows you're going to throw it, that you can throw it. So, and there's several quarterbacks in this draft that are like that. So not just Cam. So excited to get around the prospects this week and throughout the spring.
Coming up on today's show, I'm going to tell you who I believe is the Giants quarterback one for the 2025 NFL Draft, as I was in Indianapolis for the 2025 NFL Scouting Combine. Before I tell you who their QB1 is, I want to hear from you. Who's your QB1? Type C for Cam, type S for Shedeur. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. And I'm here to tell you that the Giants QB1 heading into the 2025 NFL Draft is Cam Ward, quarterback, Miami. And all of the things we have heard coming up and leading to this point is that Shedeur Sanders is the Giants quarterback one, the guy that they were willing to trade up for, the guy they have on number one on their board. And we've been following this story for quite some time. But after I talked to people, after I listened to Joe Shane, and after I reached out to more people around the NFL, it seems like Cam Ward is the player that if the Giants trade up to the number one overall pick, they are going to select. And I can confirm as well from people I talked to in Indianapolis that the New York Giants are trying to trade up to the number one overall pick. Because they struck out on trading for Matthew Stafford, which was their number one plan going into the offseason. I have confirmed that was the number one thing they wanted to do. They are unable to do that as he has gone back to the Rams. They have now shifted their focus to doing what I have heard, whatever it takes to move up to the number one overall pick. Why is that? Because Joe Shane wants to make sure that he leaves the draft with the quarterback he wants, because he knows adding a rookie quarterback in round one is going to lengthen the leash and cool the seat the most when it comes to his job security for the 2026 season. It's no doubt the New York Giants have done a lot of work on Shedeur Sanders, and we have followed that story brick by brick, bit by bit, every single piece of the way. We have followed that story. But at this point, I truly do believe that the New York Football Giants may have been trying to put on a little bit of a smokescreen when it comes to who their quarterback one was. Why is that? Why would they make it seem like Shedeur was their guy? Well, a couple of different things. They've been able to go and scout Shedeur Sanders a little bit more. They had Brian Dable, Joe Shane, and Brandon Brown all at the East-West Shrine game, and that is where Shedeur Sanders was. That's why Joe Shane at the top of the show in that clip says we haven't been around Cam, because they haven't. They got to be around Shedeur at the East-West Shrine game. Cam Ward did not go there, so the Giants, they did not have an opportunity to go and do that. Why would that be a smokescreen, though? Because they don't want to give off the illusion that Cam Ward is their quarterback one and the only guy that they want to draft, because if they do, the Tennessee Titans will use that against them and use that as leverage to make sure that they give up more picks. So, yeah, the Giants made it seem like, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it is Shedeur as their QB1, but I believe that Cam is their QB1, and I believe they gave off the illusion that it is Shedeur so that they could let Tennessee know that even if we don't move up to the number one overall pick, we are perfectly fine with staying at number 3 and having the quarterback fall to us at that spot. From talking to everybody at the Combine, it is a unanimous feeling amongst all 32 teams in the NFL that Cam Ward is quarterback one on every single person's big board. I talked to other people that work for other teams. I talked to people that do media for teams. I talked to NFL insiders, and every single person seems like they think Cam Ward is the QB1 for all 32 teams. I also got to talk to Greg Cosell, an idol of mine, someone that I believe is one of the best NFL film junkies out there. I asked him about Cam and Shedeur. Here's his response.
If Cam Ward is going to be successful in the National Football League, why do you think that will be?
Well, I think he's got high-level traits. I mean, to me, he's got the highest level traits of any quarterback in this draft, and he's got the kind of traits that succeed in the league. He can play from the pocket. He can make plays outside of structure. He's got a solidly well-built body. I happen to know people at Washington State. I've heard he's an alpha dog as a leader. So I think he's got all the traits you want in an NFL quarterback.
And the same question for Shedeur Sanders.
He's a different kind of player. He needs a team around him. He's a pocket quarterback. And in the NFL, guys who are kind of pure pocket quarterbacks have to be super high level at everything. Pre-snap, post-snap. They need team. They need to be protected. You know, he's a different, he's like a lowercase C.J. Stroud type. Like, you know, that kind of quarterback. You know, he's not as good as Stroud, not as good a prospect, doesn't throw it as well, not as big. But, you know, he's a ball distributor. He's a point guard.
Do you think Shedeur or Cam would fit better in a Giants system with Dable? Do you think either one would fit better?
Well, I just think Cam's a better prospect.
Gotcha.
So I just think Cam is the better prospect all around.
Perfect.
Shout out to Greg Cosell for being nice enough to give me a couple of minutes at the NFL Combine. So sorry for the crop job. I think he thought I was just recording his audio, but he kept on getting closer and closer, and there was only so far back I could go. But I thought he made a lot of good points, and he really echoed what I had heard. People believe Cam Ward is a much better prospect than Shedeur Sanders. I've got another clip from Joe Shane's presser I want to tell you guys about. Then we'll talk about Cam Ward. First, I got to let you guys in on a secret. If you use our promo code with Factor, that is Factor Podcast, you're going to get 50% off your first order. If you're ready to optimize your nutrition this year, listen up. Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They are dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes, so you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfasts, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. I'm a busy person. I have a busy lifestyle covering the Giants and the Knicks, and Factor, when it's in my fridge at home, it makes my life that much easier. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code FactorPodcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code FactorPodcast at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That link will be clickable down in the comments and description of today's show. The reason that I think the New York Giants are 100% interested, as well as from what I have heard and just trying to connect the dots logically here, is the Giants, mainly Joe Shane and Brian Dable, they cannot afford to leave the NFL draft without selecting a quarterback. You have to get it done. Because the only real ways you're going to keep your job going into 2026 is if you win more games than you're supposed to in 2025, and or the feeling at 1925 Giants Drive is Joe Shane and Brian Dable, they picked the right quarterback, and he could be our franchise guy. I thought it was interesting during Joe Shane's press conference that he made it clear and very clear throughout the week that the Giants want to add a veteran quarterback in NFL free agency. We've talked about Aaron Rodgers and the Giants being linked to him, as well as Sam Darnold and Russell Wilson. We got more rumors to talk about them coming up in the week. Make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications turned on. But Joe Shane made it clear he wants to add a rookie as well as a vet that could potentially win games for this team next year.
Yeah, and where we are, Tommy DeVito is our only quarterback on the roster, so you may evaluate both of those. Those both may be options. So, again, we don't know what's going to happen in the draft. We don't know who's going to be there. When we get around these kids, they may or may not be a fit for us. So, we're going to have to address the position somewhere. And even if you get a young quarterback, you'd like to have a vet, in the room with them to show them the ropes and how to be a pro. So, we're looking at all different avenues. It's, hey, is this guy going to be really good for a young quarterback, or is this guy a starter? Or can we get a guy in the draft? Or if we do, should we have a guy that's more of a guy that can develop and show a guy how to be a pro? So, we're going to look at, vets. We're going to look at the draft. We're going to look at trade candidates. We're going to look at under every rock to, find the best prospect for us going into the 25 season.
I love the idea of the Giants turning a weakness, which is and was the quarterback position for quite some time, into a strength. And he knows, Joe Schoen, that if he is able to sign a veteran quarterback in free agency and draft a guy and give you an opportunity to win games this year as well as some hope into the future. The Giants leaving round one with a quarterback gives Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll the best chance to keep their job. Because if that player at the end of their rookie season looks like he could be the franchise guy, that's going to give a lot of trust and a lot of want to keep them out of John Mara to remain in their positions. I want to go back to this. I've been saying it since week 0 of college football when he tore up the Florida Gators. Cam Ward is my quarterback one. And if the Giants find a way to walk away from the draft with Cam Ward as a New York Football Giant, I am going to be extremely happy. I think he's the best quarterback in this class, and I think he is really the only quarterback, in my opinion, that is worth trading up for. When you talk about who he is as a player, he has elite playmaking skills. His ability to make plays in the pocket as well as outside the pocket is better than anybody in this class. He can make that second play better than anybody. When it's 3rd and 12 and a free rusher comes home, he can make that guy miss, reset the pocket, get outside of the pocket, throw from every arm angle to make chunk plays down the field, or just get the ball to his wide receiver in space to make plays. He's an alpha. He oozes confidence, and he is the ultimate leader. You heard Greg Cosell talk about it going all the way back to his Wazoo days where they were calling him a dog, and I truly believe he is just scratching the surface of who he can be. This guy played in a wing T offense, a triple option type of offense his senior year of college football. Then he went to Incarnate Word, a D1 AA program, FCS if you want to call it that. Then he went to Washington State. Then he was a Heisman Trophy candidate in his lone season at Miami. He's not a perfect prospect by any means. I want to make that abundantly clear. And no prospect is perfect. And there's things that he could work on. Some of the gimme throws got to be more accurate. Got to have more of your hips, feet, shoulders, everything synced and tied together to not miss any of those gimme throws. He doesn't always have to play hero ball. Got to sometimes understand that juice is not worth the squeeze. And sometimes the best play is to live to fight another down, throwing the ball away or just taking those 2 or 3 yards on a scramble. I also think he could improve in the pre and post snap reads, and you could say that about any college quarterbacks. I want him to get into a better spot of making checks at the line and getting his team into better opportunities. Something Elijah Arroyo, the tight end for Miami, said he did a really good job about. I also talked to some offensive linemen from Miami this past year, and they were thoroughly impressed, as well as the running back, about how good he is pre-snap. Don't necessarily see that on film, but his teammates, they echoed that. Look, I'm not saying all this to say Shedeur Sanders is a bad quarterback. He's my QB2. And if Cam goes 1 and Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter goes 2, and Shedeur is there at 3, I'm 100% okay with Shedeur Sanders being the Giants quarterback. They're just different guys. Shedeur is someone that wins consistently from in the pocket. He can play make, he can scramble, he can improvise, but Cam Ward just does it a little bit better. I think Cam's got a bigger arm. I do think Shedeur has a little bit better decision-making for him. His accuracy is a little bit better as well. The playmaking skills go toward Cam's Ward way. But at the end of the day, I do think Cam Ward is a little bit better of a leader, and he's someone that I would like a little bit more as the face of my franchise. Totally okay, though, if Shedeur's the guy at QB3. I think both of them are good enough players to be successful in the NFL. They need stuff around them, and it becomes more of a responsibility of, can Brian Daboll put either of those guys in position to be successful? Because I think both of them, they can't be with good coaching. My question to you is this before we bounce on out of here. Should the Giants trade up to the number 1 overall pick with the Tennessee Titans to guarantee you get to select the quarterback that you want most? Type T for trade, type P for pass, and make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Instagram at @MarshallGreen_, and I'm on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_ as well. We were crushing it at the Combine, and all the clips are on my Twitter and IG as well. So hit me up, give me a follow, and let's go Big Blue.